everybody knows what's going on in the comic book industry, right? Is it imploding? Is it gonna end? It's not gonna go away. It's gonna change, but there's a huge slowdown in comics and we have to pivot. And that's kind of what this show is about today. It is in pivoting. We talked about the video games last time. This time we're gonna talk about toys and other collectibles that you can sell online, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Mercaria. There's a lot of places to sell. You all know about them. I try not to use anything online, but it seems like the more diverse stuff we have here at the shop that brings a lot of people in and they get excited about it. So, you know, recently I bought all these, and man, stuffed animals. A lot of people call them plushies now. These are really hot right now. I mean, I sold one for $285 for a vintage one on a vintage gun on eBay about 2 months ago, and these sell really good. You know, I can pick them up for $2 and $3 and they sell between 10 and 15. In the store, I don't have to put them online and lose a percentage, especially the Pokemon one. They sell really quick. So some of the other toys, you get some vintage He-Man stuff. You know, we got a whole bin of vintage He-Man, and they sell anywhere, like without their weapons and all their other parts, $15 to $25 for the common ones. But you know, there's some uncommon ones. Loose, you're gonna get 80 bucks for them. So keep an eye out for this, and don't be afraid to buy. You know, if comic book collections aren't coming in and comics aren't really selling, you need to buy something to put out. Why we're remodeling the whole store is another thing, is to re-merchandising, not really remodeling, more re-merchandising, changing the whole setup of the store. Creates excitement. People think there's a lot of new things and a lot of things happening. Another thing that you can do is move a lot of your collection online. So I've got like 30,000 books that aren't out on my floor. There's no room for them. And they're just sitting in the basement and piled up in our second bathroom. It's crazy. It's everywhere. So what we started doing, and we did a show on TCG Player, and I showed everybody how to put their stuff up online. If you're a comic book retailer, they have been, as I've gotten my numbers up, the sales have been moving upwards, and it's going to be a really good income. We already have 65,000 items up on TCG Player, mostly trading cards, but we have about 4,000 comics now, and we're reaping about $100 a week on those 4,000 comics. I figure if we just feed that out, if I had put 30,000 books up there, just easy math, might be able to do $500 a month, maybe as much as $1,000 a month, because we're doing about $100 a week now. So that's another thing we've been focusing on, and getting, you know, everything up online that we can, so that we can move some books to keep the income flowing in. Another thing we talked about was Pullbox, and finally got signed up, all ready to go, and we just started advertising for Pullbox, and we've already added 4 new subscribers. It was so hard to add subscribers in the past, and we are trying desperately to add those subscribers. We haven't even gotten out to the rest of our area, and we've like added 4 people. So we estimate that we might be able to add a total of 20 new subscribers, and that would put us almost back up to 40, and that would be fantastic. It also makes ordering a whole lot easier if you know what the people want. It automatically goes into the order. You don't have to worry about, did I forget this book? When I was adding up, did I add it up correctly? It's really a pain in this digital age to be able to use a product and get an outcome, a good outcome. Should be no-brainer. Shouldn't have to be going to paper and counting and writing it from one piece of paper to another piece of paper and then transferring it to computer. This is perfect. They sit at home, they look for Previews World, they pick the comics they want. I gave them an extra 5% off. So now, if you use Pullbox, you're gonna get 15% off of your comics. And I'm also giving them, because it's really that great for me, another 10% off anything else in the store they want to buy. They get a permanent 10% off. Plus we bag and board their comics. So, I mean, I don't know what more a subscriber would want. Maybe 30% off their books, but we can't go there. Because we're paying a higher percentage because we can't buy as many books as some of the bigger dealers. Sadly, DC has not come back to Diamond as even allowing them to distribute their books as not an exclusive, but like as another distributor. They have brought a second distributor on out of Canada, but they're not in the Previews World pull box. So I'm having to do any DC the old way. It takes me about 3 weeks to get my DC, and there was like 3 weeks to get your DC. Yes, Lunar will not ship your books unless you buying $125 a week. So until you get up to that $125, they won't ship you your books. So I don't sell $125 a week in DC. So it takes me about 3 weeks to add up to that. And then it all comes in, and then people are behind in their books. So I'm looking at a couple of different ways to work with the DC through other dealers. So we'll see about that. But again, what we're talking about is pivoting. So I have to tell my subscribers to DC, you won't get your books for 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, depending on what they're coming out with. Oh, and guess what? DC just announced that they're gonna trim their line down. So not only do I have not enough to buy now, but they're gonna have less books for me to buy in the coming months. So it'll be even harder to get to 125. So I guess, you know, Lunar wants you to buy the independents that they carry through them instead of Diamond, but they don't have a Previews World. So I'm gonna buy it all through Diamond. I know a lot of people, before this all breakup happened, everybody was so sour on Diamond because they were, you know, it was kind of a monopoly. They, you know, they had a lot of warehouse issues with damages and stuff, but they always made the damages right. Yes, like if they couldn't replace a book, you only got the value you paid for it. And if it was a 1 in 25 and a 1 in 50, you missed out on the opportunity to sell that book at a higher amount. But it really wasn't that often. At least it wasn't for me. I do still have damages from time to time, but I'm taken care of either financially or book replacement. So, you know, it's the best you can ask for with being able to add all these tools into your system, plus getting the free Overstreet account also added on, which can be a management tool for you. But I get excited with buying stuff and different things and changing around the store. It gets everybody in, you know, in the neighborhood, when they come in, they get excited. Now, because we can't afford to be closed for a week, we have to be open and do it. So instead of it taking 1 week and getting it done and knocking it out, it takes us several weeks. And collections don't stop coming in. All other things don't stop happening. The comics come in weekly. Magic drops. We have to have all the tables cleared off for Thursday and Friday for Magic tournaments. And we're going to do an episode on TCG trading card games and running tournaments and selling cards and how that works for us. And maybe you guys can tell us how it works for you. It works very successfully for us. It's kind of one of the things that keeps our lights on. So another thing I bought, you know, it gets brought in and, you know, I'll buy it. So these are bike badges from the 40s. Actually, the Schwinn is actually probably from the 60s, but the Shelby Flyer and the Monarch and the Roadmaster are all probably from the 40s, early 50s. They're actually not a lot of money. A lot of people save these, and a lot of the bike shops from back then would order a bunch of these because they would break and people like would want a new one for their bike, so they kept them in stock. So these are actually old new stock, but still, you know, $25, maybe $50 on one of the ones for it. Then we got, you know, Franklin Mint stuff. Franklin Mint stuff does pretty good. So these are pewter, and these are all hood ornaments from all the cars from like the 1910s all the way to like the 1940s or 50s. So They're on a little piece of wood. They're a pewter figure. It says what company they're from, you know, Studebaker, Packard, Buick. And it has all of them, Cadillac. It's got some ones that I've never heard of. So, you know, I bought a lot on that, and, you know, you take a shot at it, change, you know, I gotta probably sell it online if I want to sell it quickly. If I want to sell it slowly, I probably could put it out. We'll figure it out. But it came in a bunch of lot. And another thing is, I've talked about when I did my vacation video, when I was talking about buying. So this is from one of my clean out guys. And you want to take care of your clean out guys if you can. If you have the money to buy what they bring in, you don't, of course, don't want to overpay, but if you can give them some cash, even if it's not stuff you do every day, it keeps that relationship going. I made a good bit of money. He brought me 3 fire hydrants, and because my main gig is working with firemen and policemen, my main gig is at supervisor at a 911 center. So what I just told the guys I had fire hydrants, and you know, I made a quick sale of 3 fire hydrants, and my clean out guy did well, I did well, and people got what it's hard to come by a fire hydrant. That's finding, if you can find buyers, buy it and sell it. Like, make money for your business in any way you can. People are always looking to get into your pocket. Every internet company takes a percentage. Your lights have to be paid. You know, you got to buy garbage bags. You have to buy toilet paper. Listen, if you're running Magic tournaments, that bathroom is flushing every 15 minutes. You know, you have 30, 40 people in here and they're eating fast food or local food. And, you know, so there's a run on that bathroom. You better have toilet paper and hand washing material and paper towels. And so we use Uline. It's a 1-day ship. And they've been great with us. And it's, you know, it's affordable, but it's another cost. Then you have to have all your protective items for all your comics. You know, when you sell them, you got to have bags and boards, and you got to be making them. You got to pay somebody to make them. Alphabetizing books after you put them online, you have to pay somebody to do that. I don't pay my wife, and she does it. So if you have family members, I'm going to start my granddaughter on it soon, but I'm probably going to have to pay her. But yeah, if you have anybody that can help you out of this at your shop, that you don't have to pay, or that you can pay very little, or we'll take it and trade. I have in the past had people that worked for comics, so that also is very good. You know, you can't really have them as a full-time employee working for comics, but you know, part-time stuff is great to have them work for it. Make sure that when you have inventory for when things change so that you can pivot. In your storage area, you should have stuff that you've just put away. And just recently I went down into our basement and I found 400 Hot Wheels that I had completely forgotten about. And we sell about 10 to 15 Hot Wheels a week. You know, the kids come in, the parents want to buy them something, they're cheap. It's a good name. Most of mine are probably pre-2010. So, you know, we have all the way back to like 1995, but none of them are really over $6, you know, like $7 probably top. Now we have some treasure hunts and stuff that are ridiculous money, but most of the stuff we have out is like from $2 up to $5, and it's a quick item for parents to buy their kid if the kid's not into comics. Not every kid's into comics, but what I do, if you got a comic shop, overbuy your free comic book day comics and just keep them by the register all year long. And when a kid comes in, let him leave. Even if he doesn't want a comic, let him leave with a free one. His parents will always take the free one. Always talk to the parents about how great comics are for reading comprehension, because the pictures tell part of the story. It's easier to comprehend words you may not have seen before. So it is a great tool for teaching, but it's important to make young readers so that later on, as these kids get older and they start subscribing to books, then you have more subscribers and you won't have to pivot as much. In our area, we don't have a big customer base. I always say I'd like to have 1,000 people come through the store, spend $10 every week. That'd be $10,000 a week. All the employees would be happy, I would be happy, all our bills would be paid, and we'd all take a salary. That doesn't happen. We have some people that spend quite a bit of money every week, and then we have a few people that buy, and then new people that are visiting the area coming in, we get an impulse buy out of that. One other thing you need to look for, which we just came into, is the CDA. They have them in New York. I'm pretty sure most states, local areas have, it's a community development agency. So they get money from the state and sometimes from the local government to give to businesses to develop the community. We just got $10 million for our little city. So I don't own my building, so I can't get any like remodeling or like painting the building or anything like that. I can't ask for any of that. But what I can ask for is marketing funds so that more people know about my business. So I was always afraid to put a lot of money into marketing, not knowing if I'm going to get that money in return. But if I'm going to write a grant and get a good amount of money to do a real marketing plan, where I hire somebody to, look into what's the best type of marketing we can do, how can I hit my target demographic. I'm not an expert in everything, and nobody really is. And so if you can get the funds to do it, get an expert. I'm thinking about, being able to shoot a real commercial. I'm thinking about maybe getting it up like the movie theaters now have playing at the beginning of shows. They have local businesses on their thing, so I'm thinking about on there. And a couple other different places, maybe some radio spots, because radio spots, for me, I've always felt that they were out of my league money-wise. Recently I've been getting some really small plans, like, oh, you could spend $500, but you look at what you get for that $500, it's like a weekend, like 10 spots. That's $300 a spot. That's a lot. But I understand in media, that's not a lot. That's a very low amount. But so go out and look for those grants. It'll help in a lot of different ways. If you're doing any kind of educational stuff at your shop, find a 501c that will sponsor it, write the grant for them. If they get the money, then they'll pay to use your space for the, if you have play space like we do. The Boy Scouts have a board gaming badge where they create board games. I think the Girl Scouts have a similar one. We've done art classes, but of course we did it on our own. We didn't go out and get a 501c. But like, there's another idea to go out and where you can generate interest and generate people into your shop for no money out of your pocket. And it's meant to be spent, right? Don't feel bad about getting, a grant or some money from a local agency, because that money, somebody else in your town is going to spend that money. It's all going to get spent. So go out and get it. But remember, if you need an idea to pivot, just go online and look for all the stuff. And when, sometimes it's we'll probably throw in a little B-roll. I have stacks of baseball cards too that I've been buying sports cards. And we hadn't done sports cards in 8 years. Like the first 6 months I opened, I did sports cards and they sold so slow, I just put them away and forgot about them. But now they're back in vogue and I've been selling them. So if people bring you stuff, if they call up and say, hey, I have a collection, don't just tell them no. Tell them you have to see it. Look at it. The other thing that happens is when a collection comes in, anybody in the store wants to know what's going on. So then they start looking at it. And you can tell by their expression, you can tell by their interest, whether, sometimes that's a clue on whether you should buy it or not. But always just check on eBay what it's selling for. And the sell-through rate. Like sometimes things sell for a lot of money, but they don't hardly ever sell. Like they're selling 1 or 2 a month and there's 100 people that have the item up. Then it's not, you can't pay that high amount for it because you're going to sit on it a while. So that's another topic that we'll probably hit on another. I'm not going to go on another tangent. I've already went on four tangents. It's supposed to be about pivoting. I think the main theme has been pivoting, but you can keep your store alive by being fluid, being able to pivot into different items. And even if you don't have them out on your floor, store them in your back room. And when things go stale, you can bring stuff out. And the other thing is that if you have items that are out on your floor for a long, that's what the whole re-merchandising is. You have stuff out on the floor and it's been there a while, take it off. Like, people think that it's sold, so the next time you put it back up, they're like, oh, I better grab it this time because last time it sold. They don't know it's the same one. So it's important, get a hold of everything you have and get organized, and that's what we're doing, because we are not. You know, I wish I could follow my own advice, but you need manpower to do that, and you should do it from the beginning. But I've bought some really, really big collections, and it's really gotten away from me. So organization, pivoting, it'll keep you alive. And if you got a bunch of this stuff in your attic or in your garage, either sell it to me or open a comic shop.